what were some other big things that Beefeater, like Beefeater? Were you guys playing out of town much, or did you do any tours at all?
Yeah,
and if so, like where did you guys go to?
We went all the way around. We went all the way to the West Coast at least once. I think we went on 2 major tours. That's the kind of thing I don't know too much about. But I do remember at least playing in California a couple of times. And we played in Fenders, which is a big club in L.A., I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I do remember that. And we had a lot of nice little concerts out that way. Fenders I like because, man, the people that, for some reason, they hated us. No, I don't remember why. Some of the people in the audience was really hating us.
Right.
I don't remember why. But
would you say audiences were more hostile or friendly towards what you guys were doing? Because you were having to deal, I think, probably with the crowd that really wanted straightforward punk rock.
Oh, I don't think there was any friction with that. It's just that during that season, the skinheads were trying to make their statement, and we was kind of opposed to the whole concept of tough guys,
Yeah.
And so when you see people out there flailing their elbows and stuff, and there was something about that machismo that kind of turned me off. So I'd comment on it, and eventually we got a reputation for being difficult or something like that. So sometimes we come into a town and there'd already be an anti-Beefeater kind of sentiment because we talk ill of the hardcore guys or something.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
I just remember that there was some static, man, but it wasn't nothing. It was nothing bad. And stylistically,
no slash tires or anything like that on the van or anything like that?
Nah, I don't remember anything like that. I don't think so.
So, of the producers that you guys work with and other studio staff, who stands out? Like, you guys work with Kenny Dread on the new job, you work with Ian on the albums. Was any sort of like studio memories, anything along those lines that you could sort of throw out?
Working with Ian is always a blessing, just because we just vibe. Musically, we have very diverse perceptions of how music's supposed to sound.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't no conflict.
Right.
But if you talk to him about how he likes music to sound now, and he talked to me how I like music to sound, it almost sounded like we at odds. So it was more just a circumstance of that he was the guy who was available.
Right.
And he's a brilliant musician, and he's a brilliant conceiver of what to do with music. So it was a very fortuitous kind of arrangement. But stylistically, I can't say that his perception of how music should sound would have been the way I would have done it if I had a bigger understanding of. But it was still a brilliant arrangement. I had no problem working with him. He's on a spiritual level, we so meshed that the musical focus is secondary to me.
With and how about working with Kenny Dread? How was that? Because that record seemed to be more straightforward, like the Olive Tree record release, Need a Job. I mean, those tunes, like, obviously not a lot of guest musicians. It seemed like that was Beefeater, and it was sort of like a little trimmed down. Like, Need a Job is a real straightforward type statement. So, was it the production that sort of put the record in that zone, or were you just sort of focused on the four of you guys for that? Like, can you speak to anything?
Kenny Dread actually hit a drum at one point on that record.
Oh, he did what?
He hit a drum.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
I don't remember where. I just remember being in the studio and we was doing something on one of those cuts, and I remember him walking in and there was a big bass drum. And he said, "Boom!" so it wasn't just the four of us.
Gotcha.
He's a brilliant musician.
Yeah.
He's a great musician. As far as the actual interaction in the studio, I can't remember how he handled it.
Gotcha.
And it seemed peaceable all the way through. But, but truth be told, I just don't have too much recollection.
Sure. And what do you recall working with David Byers at all by any chance on that record? Any recollections about him in general, or that particular recording?
Same as Kenny Dread.
Yeah.
Great guy, masterful guitar player. Kenny Dread is underestimated. Man, he's a wonderful guitar player too.
Yeah, he is.
Brilliant guitar player, and just I like musicians that work in that niche. I like people that combine progressive jazz with rock and everything. So he was a pretty precious commodity just based on that.
Yeah.
But as far as him contributing to that record, I really don't remember too much about it.
Gotcha. So what sort of did Beefeater end? How did that kind of end, and how did Fidelity Jones sort of rise out of that?
The way Beefeater ended, I would say we had ongoing frustrations with various drummers at some times. I think that probably didn't help. You know, we had a lot of drummers, and all great drummers in
Mm-hmm.
their own way.
Yeah.
In their own way. But personality-wise, sometimes there was a little bit of back and forth.
Gotcha.
And that might have contributed towards it. I don't really remember why it fell apart.
Were the drummers that you had interested in the agenda of the band in terms of the different messages, or were they just playing drums?
Yeah, just
because it
playing
always
drums.
seemed like talking to Kenny. I just nothing against him. It just seemed like he's just drumming.
Yeah, he liked the music, but it had nothing to do with the agenda at all. As a matter of fact, he was kind of unhappy with the way we had pushed vegetarianism and we speak out against drugs and stuff. He'd probably like to get high like everybody. Same thing with the other guy, Mark, what's his name?
Here we go. One reason to have the records on hand. God, Mark. Here we go. On Need a Job.
We used to call him Mark Two Chair.
It's just okay. Yeah.
Me and Ian, we call him Mark Two Chair because one night we were playing at DC Space, and we were backstage getting pumped up for our gig, and we were saying, "Come on, man, let's burn it down." Which we used to do. We used to talk like, "Man, let's go out there and just give it all."
That's pretty funny.
But I said, "Come on, man, let's go out there and let's just destroy this thing, man."
Yeah.
So he went out there. He went out there and we got caught up and we started playing. And at one point, he just picked up a chair and he just smashed it. And he took another chair and he put his foot through it. He got real uncomfortable because that wasn't our nature, man. We weren't into physically destroying stuff, but he just misinterpreted, I think, what he was saying. So ever since then, Ian calls him Mark Two Chair.
That's pretty funny.
He said if we ever made it bigger, we'd be on stage on some big arena stage, and halfway through the gig, these two huge chairs would come out of the sky, and Mark would just blow them up with big, huge drumsticks and just smoke and fire everywhere. So his real name, I don't remember too much.
Gotcha. So Andy Charnico obviously ended up playing guitar for you with. So had like Fred been cherry picked by Strange Boutique, or what was this? What was the scoop on not working with Fred at that point? Was it just over?
Yeah, I think it was just over. I think he just drifted on. He became, at that moment, he became Frederick Smith for a while.
Yeah.
He was Funky Fred when he was with us, So his focus and his identity kind of shifted a little bit. And man, he was a superstar, man. When he was with us, he was a wonderful asset, super wonderful asset. But he was going toward a different direction. He's going to what I guess they call it goth now.
It was a weird one to hear that he had joined that band.
Yeah,
I was like, well, good for him, man.
From what I hear, he's gone through other changes since then. I have not been in touch with him. Myself,
he's doing his thing for sure.
Yeah.
Were you kind of aware of Andy Charnico and what he had done?
I had seen him perform a couple of times with a band called On Beyond Zebra.
Oh, okay.
Which was kind of like progressive pop music, basically, but great guitar skills, man.
Yeah,
great guitar skills. So at some point, I just reached out for him. I said, "Man, would you be interested in working in?" Well, I guess he might have been a little familiar with where we were coming from. He said, "Sure, let's give it a try, man."
Right.
And we hit it off, man. A great guitarist, man.